The observation deck of the Galactic Combat Academy fell silent as Elsa stepped into the training arena. Commander Verk watched from above, his four eyes narrowing with skepticism. Another human, the third one this cycle, and like the others, she looked impossibly fragile. Elsa's boots crunched against the crystalline floor as she approached the pack of Kryn cubs, the galaxy's most feared predator species in their juvenile form. 12 sets of violet eyes locked onto her, and the air filled with low, rumbling growls that made even the seasoned instructors shift uncomfortably. "She won't last 5 minutes," muttered Instructor Grawl, his scales bristling. "The cubs haven't been fed today. Standard protocol for bonding trials." Verk said nothing, but his tactical mind was already calculating. Humans had been surprising the Galactic Council since their admission 3 solar cycles ago. They were weak by every measurable standard. No natural armor, no claws, pathetically slow compared to most species. Yet somehow they kept defying expectations. The largest cub, nearly the size of an Earth lion, took a step forward. Its fangs gleamed like obsidian blades. The others began to circle, classic pack hunting behavior. Elsa should have been terrified. She should have reached for the neural disruptor on her belt. Instead, she smiled. Then she dropped to one knee and opened her arms. What happened next would be discussed in academy halls for generations. The largest cub, designation K-47, known for its particularly aggressive temperament, broke from the pack and charged. But instead of attacking, it slammed into Elsa's chest and began making a sound no one had ever heard a Kryn produce. A deep, rhythmic rumble that could only be described as purring. Within seconds, the entire pack abandoned their predatory formation and rushed toward her. Elsa laughed, a sound so genuine and unguarded that Verk felt something strange stir in his chest, as 12 deadly creatures competed for her attention, rubbing their massive heads against her shoulders, their tails whipping with excitement. "Impossible," Grell whispered. Verk's communication implant crackled. "Commander, you need to see the biometric readings." He pulled up the holographic display. The cubs' stress hormones had dropped to near zero. Their aggression markers were non-existent, and strangest of all, their pack cohesion signals, which should have been directed at each other, were all focused on Elsa. She's become their pack leader," the technician stammered. In 30 seconds, Verk descended to the arena floor, his military bearing keeping his fascination in check. As he approached, Elsa looked up from where she sat, surrounded by deadly predators who were now acting like oversized house cats. K-47 had its head in her lap, eyes half closed in contentment. "Explain," Verk commanded, his translator rendering his native tongue into crisp English. Elsa shrugged, scratching behind K-47's ear, if the chitinous ridge could be called an ear. "They're babies. Scared babies, actually. I could smell the stress pheromones from across the arena. Humans can't smell Kryn pheromones." "No, but we can read body language. Universal language of young things, Commander." She looked at him with those strange, forward-facing predator eyes that humans possessed. They were trying to look tough because they were terrified. "It's what young pack animals do." Verk crouched down, studying the cubs more carefully. Now that she mentioned it, he could see the subtle signs, the slight tremors, the way they'd been standing too close together, the pitch of their growls just slightly too high. "Your kind has pack animals on your world? Wolves, dogs, hyenas, lions, meerkats, dolphins, orcas, dozens of species." Elsa smiled as another cub nuzzled her hand. "Humans have been living alongside pack animals for 40,000 years. We domesticated wolves before we invented agriculture. We understand pack dynamics in our bones." Verk processed this. The Kryn were the galaxy's apex predators. Yet humans had multiple apex predators on their death world, and had somehow convinced one species to live with them voluntarily. "Kryn have resisted all bonding attempts for 3 centuries, he said quietly. "We use neural suppressors and behavioral conditioning just to keep them manageable during training." "How did you—" "You were treating them like enemies to be controlled," Elsa interrupted gently. "Not children to be guided. There's a difference." K-47 made a small chirping sound and rolled onto its back, exposing its vulnerable underbelly. Elsa rubbed its chest, and the cub's rear leg began to kick reflexively. Verk stared. That was a submission display seen only when cubs were with their birth mother. "I need you to train our handlers," Verk said, the words coming out before his strategic mind could stop them. The council will never approve. Why not? Because accepting that humans are better at something threatens the hierarchy. He paused, then added with brutal honesty, because we're afraid of your kind. Elsa looked at him, really looked at him, and he saw something in her eyes that made him understand why humans had become the galaxy's unexpected diplomats. It wasn't pity or superiority. It was empathy. You're not afraid of us, Commander Verk. You're afraid of being vulnerable, of admitting you don't have all the answers. She stood, and the cubs clustered around her legs like she was their natural center. We all are sometimes. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Over the next months, Elsa revolutionized the Academy's training program. Cubs who had been deemed untrainable became loyal companions. Attack rates dropped 97%, and slowly, reluctantly, other species began to ask humans for help with their own bonding programs. Verk watched it all from his command post, and he understood what the Council still refused to acknowledge. Humans weren't dangerous because they were strong. They were dangerous because they made everyone around them stronger. The galaxy would never be the same. And in the training arena below, Elsa laughed as a dozen deadly predators played like puppies at her feet, teaching an ancient lesson that the stars had forgotten. Sometimes the greatest power is knowing when to open your arms instead of raising your fists.